Hey everyone, welcome back, it's Ace. Today we are playing a little bit of Norsha Canals. I'm sorry, I'm in Manifest. I don't know what is DICE's obsession with shipping containers. Seems to be an abundance of them in every Battlefield game. If they're so obsessed with shipping, perhaps they could have shipped me a better game than this lifeless, soulless piece of shit we are playing today. I've now went through all of Battlefield 2042 maps, and I think either this or Kaleidoscope, I don't know how you pronounce that. I don't know who even names their maps that way. Are some of the worst shit I have ever played. But this map, how lifeless it feels, how boring it is, especially on defense, is probably the one that takes the cake. When you're defending, you're only fighting people on these shipping containers, on the cranes, the cranes that move these shipping containers, everybody just jumping down with C4, they're flying on wingsuits as Sundance, they're grappling everywhere as McKay. It's absolutely unbearable. And I don't mean to say that just because I'm playing in a tank, it's unbearable as infantry as well. It's just not good designed. Honestly, the only saving grace of Battlefield 2042 maps is the fact that you can play them on breakthrough mode. Now, I've never actually talked about breakthrough mode. I know it's been a hot topic in the community over the past couple of years, everybody comparing it to Conquest and saying it's better than Conquest, and people who have been watching my channel for all these years know that I've primarily played Conquest in both Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4, and I do still gravitate towards it a little bit just because I think it's, the traditional mode. However, I will mention, if you're playing some of these worse games like BF5 and Battlefield 2042, I think Breakthrough is just the obvious option. And the main reason why that's the obvious option is for the fact how gigantic these maps are. I mean, it's a driving/running simulator depending on what you prefer to play, and on Breakthrough, it kind of centers everything onto like one point of the map, so it's not just running the fuck around for half the match. And on top of that, all these specialists make Conquest even more unbearable and more boring because everybody just grapples to rooftops, these few rooftops they have available in Conquest. So you're playing in a tank, you drive to a flag, there's nobody anywhere in the vicinity other than on the rooftops or on the like gigantic hills up above the flag, and then you're just shooting air because you cannot put your tank cannon up there to shoot them for the most part. I think this division between Breakthrough and Conquest players in the recent Battlefield games just comes from the fact that those games are just not very good games. Guys, we had people who enjoyed the Rush and Conquest in Battlefield 3 because the game was just a GOAT game and the maps were just made to be good on all game modes. We didn't just have maps which were made for Breakthrough and then we said, the hell with Conquest and the other modes, screw that, they just make it for Breakthrough. No, how about you make maps that are playable on every game mode? If you're a video gaming company who introduces multiple game modes to a video game, you have to make sure that those maps are playable on all of those game modes. I'm gonna give a hot take now. The only game, recent Battlefield game, and by recent I mean it's nearly 10 years old as well, that delivered exclusive game modes which are playable on all maps would be Hardline. Yes, that game that nobody played and everybody hated. Every game mode on that game was playable on all the maps. If you took, for example, Bank Job, which I would say was the flagship map of Battlefield Hardline, and you played Blood Money, you played Heist, you played Conquest, you played any of the modes available, the map just had the flow because they made it with the consideration of all the game modes in play. And when you compare it to Battlefield 4 and you take Hainan Resort, which we determined in my review is the worst map in Battlefield 4, and you put it on Rush, it's some of the worst shit I've played when it comes to Rush, and Battlefield 4 clearly wasn't designed for Rush. I think the only good map on Rush on Battlefield 4 would be Siege of Shanghai, I guess, if you can endure it. And the only really fun thing about Siege of Shanghai is just playing tank, I guess, just farming the infantry because there's no air vehicles to deal with. And the only reason those players are on Siege of Shanghai Rush is because how shit the map is on Conquest as well. So you see what I mean? That good maps is just, in my opinion, the most important thing about Battlefield. If you have good maps, then you can build the gunplay on top of that and the movement and everything else you designed for. But if the maps are like a secondary concern for you, like they were in Battlefield 4, like they clearly are in Battlefield 2042, then we have a problem. If we, for example, took Battlefield 3, which had, for the time, good gunplay, I would call it good gunplay, it had no movement, but we have to consider the time, and we put that game with, its suppression and all the other quirky things that it had, like non-stop reses, and we put that game on Battlefield 2042 maps, like right here on Manifest, it would feel like crap, and it wouldn't feel like Battlefield 3, even if it's literally the same game, just on a different map. On top of that, we have the proof that this didn't work, because we had Battlefield Portal, where we were available, or it was available to us, sorry, to play those Battlefield 3 maps on a game that just isn't Battlefield 3, and it just didn't work. So if you take the gunplay of another game and put it on Battlefield 3 maps, it doesn't work, and vice versa. So I'm really hoping when I do enter the playtest for the next Battlefield game that the first map, that playtest map, needs to be excellent after years of abuse of displaying these shit maps on these just average games, okay? The map needs to be super important. Let's talk about the tank in Battlefield 2042. How does it feel? Driving it feels okay, I guess. It's a little bit floaty, but I'll give it credit where credit is due. It doesn't get stuck on anything. The Delta Force tank, which is the game we're gonna compare it to because it's the most recent game, gets stuck on everything. And this tank doesn't. However, aiming in Delta Force feels way better than it does in Battlefield 2042. In tank or infantry, there is this so awful lag. It feels like you have insane input lag, and I don't know what it is, guys. I've turned on reflex, I have reflex plus boost, I've turned off everything I could possibly find that could give me input lag. I have no frame chain, I have no G-Sync, no V-Sync, no FreeSync, nothing. Yet, it feels like there is an awful input lag. On top of that, there is some weird micro freezes happening like every 2-3 minutes. Maybe you notice it in the video. I have these issues on no other game. Literally none. It's just a Battlefield 2042 exclusive thing. Unfortunately, this clunk adds to the very sluggish feeling of the tank when aiming, but I will say that if you want to play tank, you should just use HE Shell, and you should play Breakthrough. Absolutely, you should play Gregor. Never play Conquest in this game in a tank. If you're playing Conquest, just play something else. Why HE Shell? It's good. I mean, you really can splash, and virtually I've been farming up this manifest defense basically the entire video, and you can do the same thing. HE Shell, and I have been thinking about HMG a little bit, and I've tried it now, LMG and HMG, and I think I just like LMG more. And the reason is sometimes people survive the HE Shell splash by like 5 health, and it's just easier to finish them off with the LMG weapon, which has higher rate of fire, rather than using something which has slower rate of fire, and to me it seems to have lower velocity as well. Now, we are here on Manifest, and I really want to win this game because the enemy has been annoying me the fuck out of me with these goddamn cranes on this shit map. So I just want to go in. I'm really mad here. I'm just going to go in and try to flank everybody and annihilate all the flank positions. And the tank's speed in Battlefield 2042 really complements this gameplay. Also, if you're playing solo, I would highly recommend just using the maintenance mode. APS is very good in this game. I would say it's better than Battlefield 4 APS, which is quite surprising, but you really need the maintenance to survive. Here you saw the micro freeze. Just random micro freeze in the middle of a gunfight. That's so appreciated. Thank you, guys. And you should use the smoke. I don't have the thermal smoke yet, so I'm using this shitty smoke which just unspots me, I guess. But if you have the thermal smoke, then just use the thermal smoke. It's gonna block some of the lock-ons. I have a phobia of these cranes, and there I see a guy, and I'm just gonna say, fuck you. We're gonna send them into the oblivion, and we're gonna drive a little bit forward now to check what's going on. I know that the enemy, there's no way they can approach the sector where I'm at, because I'm sitting here, and if they try to flank, I'm just gonna drive backwards and go around them. So I'm just instead gonna drive forward and try to flank them instead. The only good thing about Manifest is because of the shipping containers cannot be destroyed, you can just virtually splash them endlessly and get a lot of kills and suppress the enemy that way. At least I'll give it that. I think maybe the lack of destruction in Battlefield 2042 has complemented the tank more than it did the infantry. I don't know. I know it should be the other way around, but the fact that you can just splash them everywhere with RAM, with tank, and all these other stupid vehicles kind of adds more to the vehicle side of things. I see now the enemy tank, but unfortunately I try to avoid fighting tanks in this game unless I really have to, because HE Shell, as I said, that's what I'm using, so it doesn't do a lot of damage to the tank. But I mean, if he's in a shootable range, just hit him a few times and he's gonna go back. He doesn't know you have HE Shell, so just shoot him with that and hope that somebody of your infantries also finish him off. See people running here out on this flank, and I'm just gonna splash everybody, take them out. I'm concerned a little bit about the crane here, but I'm extremely focused on the minimap. So I see there's nobody there, I'm just gonna stay here and try to deny the flanks. Guys, that's gonna be it from me. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you have a nice weekend. If you liked the video, share it, like, and subscribe. Leave me a comment what do you think about Manifest and Battlefield 2042 in general. What are your wishes for the next Battlefield playtest? I hope I will get in on it and I will be able to speak a little bit about it. Take it easy and have a good day.